All right, what's going on, everybody? Let's do this. Quick video. Hey, just wanted to share some thoughts with you guys very rapidly, very short video. So I've been thinking about something for the last couple of weeks, and maybe even longer than that. And it's something that I find very frustrating. And here's what it is. And I'm going to share this with you because some of you will also have realized this, have thought about this, and will probably share the exact same frustration that I'm about to voice. And that frustration is that so many people have learned nothing. And I hate to say that. It pains me to say that, but it is true. I don't know what the percentage is, and I'm not going to guess, but there are a lot of people that started to realize that their picture of the world did not concord with reality, and it started to look more deeply into historical events or what we're being told about current events or whatever. And they realized that their map of the world did not match the terrain of the world, so to speak. But so many people that started to realize that difference and started to peel back the layers of history or about current geopolitical situations or whatever it is, right? So many people started to do that. And then they stopped. They stopped. Maybe it was, for me, and I've said this before many times, it was 9/11. 9/11 is kind of where I started to, and I didn't do this in 2001. It wasn't until several years later, in 2007 or so, that I started to look at the 9/11 story and then realized we had been lied to. And I just started looking at all these other things, etc. But whatever it was, 9/11, or whether it was some event that preceded 9/11, or whatever, or whether it was the narratives that we were being told in 2020, 2021, around, all things COVID or the COVID op, as I call it, whatever it was. But there are people who kind of started to wake up. They started to open their eyes, and they have since gone back and they've closed their eyes and they have re-entered that trance that they had started to come out of. And I find that very frustrating because there's so many people who started to realize that the government lies to us, or again, whatever you want to say, the government, the deep state, the global elites, whatever moniker you want to use. That's not necessarily my point right now, but people had started to realize that, and then they just stopped. They never go further. They start to open their eyes about one event, and then they don't necessarily realize it's not just one event. Everything that happened with the whole COVID op was not a one-off. Okay, that's how things work. And the same people who ran that operation are still out there, still conducting their tyranny. They are still seeking to enslave humanity, to include Americans. And I just find that frustrating that so many people refuse to be free. Because at the end of the day, it's a choice. And there are people out there who refuse to be free. Because you can't be free if you're not actively pursuing the truth. And there are people out there who they just want to ignore the truth. And they have an enslavement mentality. They are an agent of their own enslavement, because at the end of the day, they don't want to be free.